Okay, let's jump right in. Some myths are more than just stories about gods and monsters. They're parables. And the story of the Valkyrie Brynhild, it's one of the big ones. It's not just a tale of a warrior who defied a god. It's this incredible deep dive into what it means to fall from perfect, cold divinity into the messy, passionate, and beautiful chaos of being human.
So before she was this legendary figure, torn apart by love and betrayal, Brynhild was something else entirely. There's this incredible line that just sums it all up. She was the cold, sharp edge of his cosmic intent. Think about that. She wasn't a person, not really. She was an instrument, a living weapon wielded by the All-Father, Odin. Her will was his will. Period.
And to really get why her story matters, you have to understand the impossible heights she fell from. We're talking about her first life, way back in the deep morning of the world. She existed as a being of pure function, a flawless celestial weapon in the grand Norse cosmic machine. Her very name back then tells you everything you need to know, Sigdrifa. It literally means victory driver. She didn't just show up to battles, she was the divine architect of their outcomes. Her presence alone could decide who lived and who died. It was like her very breath was the weave of battle itself. And her main tool for getting the job done was this incredible power called Haminja. You can think of it as supernatural luck, or a kind of divine favor. She could literally grant this to a mortal king, ensuring that they would absolutely dominate on the battlefield. It was like a divine cheat code for war, gifted to whoever Odin wanted to win. And her job description was massive. It wasn't just battlefield stuff. She was the ferryman for souls, guiding the spirits of heroes from our world, Midgard, to the halls of Valhalla. She was a judge, deciding when a warrior's fate, their word, had run its course. And once in Valhalla, she became a cupbearer, serving the sacred mead that kept the memories and fighting spirit of the fallen alive. She was basically managing the entire life force of Odin's army, keeping them primed for Ragnarok. She was an absolutely crucial pillar of the divine order. They called her the Shield Maiden of the Clouds, and for good reason. She wore this shamanic swan feather cloak which let her rise above it all, literally, riding the winds of the spirit. And that really captures who she was back then, totally detached, untouched by messy human things like desire or betrayal, things that would later become her entire world. But here's the thing about perfection. It's rigid, it doesn't grow. And consciousness, well, it always does. Right here, in the flawless execution of her duties, we see the very first flicker of a self, the tiny seeds of what the sources call her original sin. And here is the great, beautiful paradox of her story. Odin gave her a job that required judgment. Think about it. To be a chooser of the slain, to pick the absolute best and bravest warriors for Valhalla, you have to develop a keen sense of merit. You need your own internal compass for what makes a hero. And wouldn't you know it, that very compass would eventually start pointing in a direction Odin did not like. You can see how it happens, right? It's an inevitable chain reaction. First, she has to judge valor. Then, that judgment develops into a real, personal sense of justice. Soon, she starts seeing the spirit of the warrior as something valuable in and of itself, totally separate from how useful that warrior might be to Odin. And once you're there, well, that final step, defying a direct order from a god, it's not just possible anymore. It's bound to happen.
And this is the absolute crux of it. Her rebellion wasn't just about disobeying one command. It was a fundamental shift. She was no longer willing to be just a shadow of Odin's mind. She chose, for the first time, to be the light of her own conscience.
And for making that choice, for that one single act of becoming a self, the punishment was absolute. An independent weapon is a broken weapon in a god's eyes. So Odin decided to shatter her, to trap her in the ultimate prison, a mortal life. Now this punishment wasn't just some fairy tale curse. The sleep thorn was a metaphysical weapon. It performed what's described as a forced grounding. It took all of her cosmic, celestial energy and just jammed it into the heavy, clumsy, finite cage of a human body. She was lightning trapped in a jar of clay. And when Odin tore off her swan feathers, he did way more than just take away her ability to fly. He essentially amputated her connection to the cosmos. He cut her off from the web of word. All she had left was this ghost of what she used to be, the painful, lingering, and beautiful memory of divinity. And that memory, That's the secret ingredient to her entire mortal life. It's what makes her tragedy so epic, so magnificent. All of her intense passions, her incredible love for Sigurd, her terrifying black hate, her icy sorrow. It was all cranked up to 11 because a part of her soul never forgot the infinite cosmos she was ripped away from. So, what's the big takeaway from all this? Her journey from the clouds to the earth isn't just a sad story. It's a parable about the profound danger, the stunning beauty, and maybe the ultimate power of choosing to be human.
This really breaks it down, doesn't it? On one side you have the victory driver. She was perfect, but she was static. She was a divine function. On the other side, the wetter of blades, the mortal woman she became. Flawed, oh so flawed, but dynamic. She was a human will. It's the journey from being a servant to being sovereign of yourself.
At the end of the day, the Shield Maiden's choice was never really about which king won a battle. That was just the trigger. The real choice she made was for her own right to exist as a being of will, instead of just being a being of function. It was a declaration of independence from heaven itself. And that's what she is to us now. That's her legacy. She's not just a divine being from Valhalla or a tragic hero from Midgard. She is the bridge between the two. She is the living embodiment of that eternal struggle between the cold, perfect stars above and the passionate, burning fires of human life down below.
And that leaves us with one heck of a question, doesn't it? Brynhildar's story forces us to look at ourselves and ask, what is real power? Is it being a flawless, perfect cog in some grand divine plan? Or is it the freedom to choose your own flawed, messy, painful, and absolutely magnificent human path?